p.m. Right. It is 6:35 p.m. on Monday evening, January the 22nd. It is our Monday night civic. So we have a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Andrew Long, who is a lobbyist. So we're going to hear from him tonight. And Corey, did you want to introduce Mr. Long, or we just going to let him come on and introduce himself, tell us a little bit about himself?
Well, we gonna let the Mr. Andrew Long talk a little bit about himself and what he do, but I'll give a
Okay.
little brief introduction. And so, a good guy is fight for the rights on various levels. Have several big clients, but also to found his way to incorporate City of South Fulton in there as well. And so that's how I got to know him and his work as he does this on a state and federal election for the city. And so, I've had an opportunity to engage with him in both. Definitely a gentleman who knows what he's talking about, and he's here to provide an in-depth knowledge on what that's all about, and how uh, and this part of civic engagement is one of the things about legislation and how bills that affect us, and that is a process, and we need people like Mr. Long who are strong advocates who have the relationships that we can have a seat at the table and get what we need to get uh, for our city, and he plays a very intricate role in that. So, I'm without any further ado, Mr. Andrew Long, I'll let you give your spiel about you yourself and your company, and then what you do, sir.
Mr. Reeves, I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the introduction, and I'm honored that you invited me on today to speak with these residents, with these folks. Ms. Williams, thank you for moderating this evening. I look forward to probably the Q&A and answering any questions that you all have. I'm Andrew. I'm a Scorpio. No, okay, I'm just kidding. So literally, I walked into the state capitol one day. I told somebody to hire me, and they did. And I worked Senate staff for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, might have even been 4 years. And I joke with my parents that the 4 years I spent down at the Capitol, even in a staff position, were probably more valuable than 4 years of college for what I do for a living, for my space. It afforded me the opportunity to develop some relationships on both sides of the aisle, the House, the Senate, Republicans, Democrats. You get to know leadership. And literally, when I tell you my whole life is relationships, that's it. That's all I do. The quickest way I can explain to you what I do is several years ago, there was a healthcare bill. Um, there was a big fight between the doctors and the pharmacists. Well, the doctor said we should be the only ones able to administer a vaccine. And the pharmacist said, nope, we should be able to administer a vaccine as well, not just the doctors, but us too. So it was a big fight, right? But lost in that fight was a pharmaceutical company that I represented, that had a nasal spray vaccine. So the children, you ask a kid, do they want the nasal spray or do they want the shot? What kid is going to say, I want a shot, right? So they had this nasal spray vaccine. However, in the state of Georgia, the word vaccine was defined as a dead virus. That was the definition in Georgia code of the word of vaccine. Well, this nasal spray that they created, this pharmaceutical company created, this nasal spray was actually a live version, and it was a weakened version, but it was a live version instead of just dead. So they didn't know who to turn to. They didn't know how to get the books, how to get the law changed. They didn't have any friends down at the Capitol, so they hired at the time my firm. I wasn't on my own at that time. I was with a different firm. Firm sent me down to the Capitol. I go to the chair of Health and Human Services in the House, and I go to the chair of Health and Human Services in the Senate. And I said, all I'm trying to do is change the definition of vaccine to allow a live virus as well as a dead virus. And they said, oh, Andrew, that's it? I said, yeah. They said, you're not bringing back up that fight between the doctors and the firm? I said, nope. Nope, I ain't got nothing to do with that. And so they said, yeah, I don't think this is controversial. You got language? I gave them the language. It passed through the House. It passed through the Senate. The governor signed it. And it became law that now vaccine, along with being a dead virus, can also be a live virus. in the state of Georgia. So now this pharmaceutical company can go to all 159 counties and offer their product to the school systems to say, if your children want nasal spray instead of the shot, we can do that now. Before, they couldn't do business in Georgia at all. So as a consultant, as being in the government relations space, that's literally, that's all I do. I mean, my job is relationships. If there is a problem in the city of South Fulton, let's say it's transportation related, I can't go down to the Capitol and go to the transportation committee in the House or the transportation committee in the Senate and be introducing myself for the first time. I'm probably not going to solve a whole lot of problems that way. But if I already know the chair of both of those committees and the members of the committee, and I tell them I have a problem, I need their help, helping to solve this problem, they'll probably be more open to helping me pass some legislation that will positively impact the city of South Fulton. So my job, my life, my role in representing the city of South Fulton is government relations and lobbyist for the city. And again, it's mostly relationship. What I do is mostly relationship based. So there is a legislative agenda for 2024. And there are some items that we're working through to see what members of the legislative delegation, which would be members of the House and members of the Senate who represent some parts of or all, in their districts, the city of South Fulton. And I think there are 9 in the House that represent the city of South Fulton, and there are 3, now 4, I believe 4 in the Senate. So we're working with the legislative delegation to see who has an appetite to carry what legislation and try to get some things moving forward for our city. And we only got 40 legislative days to do it, and today was day number 6. So we're down to 34 days we got left to do it. So that's what I do. I'm glad to answer any questions or be more specific, or Mr. Reeves, if you need me to tackle something else, I'm glad to do that as well.
No, just want to run out here for the sake of the people who are here, and then we also put this on the YouTube we don't want to try to leave questions and answers. What are those bills for the city of South Fulton, and like the ones that to advocate for is what's the main, and then like anything supplemental, as we just want people to have a knowledge of what the DS in the majority asks you specifically to go advocate for the constituents.
Sure. Let me do this. I don't have that list in front of me. I think it was like maybe 6 or 7. Some were for me to actually lobby for, introduce or ask, request the legislative delegation to introduce legislation, and others were for me to simply monitor and watch what happens on certain bills as they move throughout the legislative process. But what I remember, the 3 main priorities, or what they're focused on, is not, and this is not in any particular order, but these 3 that I remember are: number 1, squatters. There is an issue of squatters in the city of South Fulton, and there's a whole section of the Georgia Code that is entitled Squatters' Rights. And believe it or not, they have more rights than you would imagine, to where if they're squatting in a certain place, it ain't just, even though you own the place, it ain't just as simple as you going back and telling them to get out. It's there are a lot of other steps that have to happen. So I think that our goal is to introduce legislation that would help us deal with the problem of squatters in the city of South Fulton. Number 2 would be something called Pad Split. Pad Split is a company that purchases homes under LLCs, and they rent out not just a home, but they rent out each room in the home. I mean, not just rent, I'm sorry, lease. They can lease it out. So it could be for months at a time. And if my family of 4, I have a family of 4. If my family of 4 wants to lease out a room, not the whole house, a room in that house, then so be it. We can contractually do that with this Pad Split situation. So if it's 5 rooms in the house and they rent out each room, me alone, we got 2 cars. So another room can have a couple that's dating in there or whatever, they could have 2 cars. Another room can have just one person that has 1 car. Another room might have a person that, is on MARTA or whatever. But I guess my point is, you're looking at, 10, 12 cars could be at one house just for all the people that's there. Cars parked all on the grass, and it's the potential for potential parties and just all kinds of things, right? The pad split situation is growing, and it is my understanding that the goal is to tackle that, to get a handle on it. So by passing legislation, and so you got squatters, you got pad split, and then the last one is apparently a liquor license, that I can remember as far as the priorities. If I own, my name is Andrew Long. If I own a bar, Andrew Long Bar, but I've been accused of doing some things at that bar that, violate code, or they're not right or something like that, the city council can come and shut me down. However, if they do that, what's to stop me from changing my address and opening back up Andrew Long Bar and just starting all over again? My liquor license comes with me. It's like it's almost like I'm grandfathered in. I don't have to go back to council, to city council, to say, hey, here are my plans. This is what I want to do. This is the area that I'm in. I would like to apply for a liquor license all over again. No. I don't have to do that. It's just grandfathered in. And it is my understanding that we are trying to introduce legislation that would simply force the owner of an establishment to apply for a liquor license for every subsequent establishment that he owns, or that he or she owns. So if they try to shut it down and open up a new one, or if they have multiple locations with different names or whatever, they would have to come in and get a liquor license for each location instead of your liquor. I'm grandfathered in. So those are 3 legislative items that I know are on the agenda and that we're probably going to be working on this session. And I believe, Mr. Reeves, you also added, and this is for me to monitor, the medical cannabis and how medical cannabis is moving right now in the state of Georgia. My current understanding is that the number of illnesses increased last year from 6 to 9 that you are allowed to get a license for in order to legally purchase and use medical cannabis. It is not approved for recreational use. And finally, there are several lawsuits about regarding the people who were not selected to receive licenses. There are only 6 licenses, 2 100,000 square foot properties and 4 50,000 square foot properties, where if you are awarded a license, you can actually grow, manage, and sell cannabis or medical cannabis for the purpose of, I mean, it's all medicinal, So, but you added to our list of priorities that you wanted me to monitor the medical cannabis and that that state agency, or I think it's a commission, and some of the moves that they're making going forward. So those are the items right now that we're focusing on.
Absolutely. And also, too, just for clarity, as I'm asking them that for the reason of, can the city of South Fulton be the entity on instead of individuals? Can it be the city, like a municipal deal, which will thus make it city employees and make it controlled of how the city can set forth those their own parameters and existing to that. And so
Right.
as that would be the selling point, right?
Right. I would have to get clarity from the commission to see how the permission of use of medical cannabis, how that flows down to the municipal level. But it is my understanding that right now, what the law says is there are 6 licenses awarded, to 6 different companies. Those companies are allowed, I don't know, I think it's like 5 dispensaries each all across the state. And they are allowed to grow, manage, and sell. But I do not think that's available to municipalities to do that. But I got to get clarification from the commission. I think it's a commission of 7. There's 6 and 1 chair. So I can get further clarification on that for you, Corey.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Long. That was very good. I think we have a couple of questions. One from Chandra was first, and then Tamika. Chandra?
Yes, Mr. Long, I thank you as well for joining this call this evening. The questions that I have for you are, well, you actually answered one, and that's what legislation actually impacts the city of South Fulton, and so you listed those. But I wanted to get an idea of the length of time it takes from when you are approached regarding a topic of interest, such as medical marijuana usage. So from the time you are given this nugget in your ear to the time you speak with those in the position to bring that piece of legislation to the rest of the committee?
Okay, I think I understand your question. And the Georgia General Assembly has a legislative session that lasts for 40 days.
Okay.
It begins by Constitution now. It's in the Georgia Code. It begins the second Monday of January every year. So the first day of the legislative session this year was Monday, January 8th. That's the second Monday of the year. And it goes for 40 legislative days. And that's the key term. Not consecutive days, not business days. Not just like every day during the week and minus the weekends. It's 40 legislative days. And what legislative means is the General Assembly creates their own calendar. So last week, we could have been in Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. This week, we can be in Tuesday and Friday. Next week, we can be in 4 days. The week after, we can be in all 5 days. It's 40 legislative days to get something passed down at the state capitol. But to sort of answer your question, whatever issues we may be having on a city level, the municipal level, that cannot be corrected by the city. The city council can't pass legislation to solve the problem, or the mayor, or it can't be done by resolution or ordinance from the city. Then you would need to have a state law, and none of the council members or mayor are able to pass state laws. That's only from the legislative delegation who represent you all, who are in the House or in the Senate. One of them will have to do it. So someone could have told me about the issue of medical marijuana and wanted to get clarity, but nothing actually happens until the second Monday in January for 40 legislative days. That's the time we have to either get something passed, or if a bill comes up that would negatively impact the city of South Fulton, to make sure that it doesn't pass. Sometimes you're playing defense. Like, I can't let that bill pass, whatever I got to do. Can't let it pass the House, can't let it pass the Senate. If it passes the House and the Senate, then I need to call the governor. Kemp, I don't ask you for much. You can't let this bill pass, and here's why. Or you can't sign it, that kind of thing. So there is no specific timeline from when they put it in my ear for me to tell it to the House member or the senator. It's just the timeline is the legislative session, the 40 days that you have to get something passed, to move on something. I hope that answers your question.
You did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I'm being so long-winded. I'm gonna try to make the next ones quick. Corey, right around 7:05, I got to jump, but I'm open for any additional questions.
Okay, we're gonna jump to Tamiko. And do you mind, just so we'll know who you are, can we just see, can you turn the camera on? Are you in a place where you can? Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, there you are.
Is that all right? Am I
Okay,
doing all right?
great. How you doing? That's fantastic. Yes, sir. You are doing great. Thank you so much. Tomiko, you have a question?
Yes, good evening.
Tamika?
Thank you for coming out. You said a few things. The first one was on the medical marijuana. Um, I don't understand if they are approving it as being medically allowed, how companies or jobs are still saying it's not allowed, and you could be fired for having it in your system still. So I don't know, are they doing anything about that? Because even the city of South Fulton was still, even if you have your prescription or whatever, they're still fired.
If you have a medical condition that warrants you, um, the you apply for a card in order to purchase and you legally use cannabis for medical purposes, you can't get fired for it. They can't fire you for that. But you have to have a card saying that I don't care if it's glaucoma or cancer related or whatever it is. I mean, you have to, a medical doctor has to approve the use of that and that this will help you. And most, the bill was honestly passed for children and people who had severe illnesses. This one girl, honestly, I remember some of the cases because one thing that these guys down here at the Capitol, they don't really move a lot to sob stories. They don't. That's just who they are. They just don't. But when you bring the kids down and they're in the wheelchairs and you tell them that this child has 100 seizures a day, and the only thing that helps them, regardless of surgery or hospitalization or whatever, is when they're taking medical cannabis, it drops it down to 20 a day. Like it still doesn't solve the problem, but it helps that child live a better life. You don't want them to have 100 seizures, every day. So that's what it's originally created for. But it's my understanding that what the bill was twofold: to allow medical cannabis usage in Georgia, and then to allow companies to actually grow it here. Because the problem with the bill, they passed it the first year and said medical cannabis is allowed. Go. Right. And the problem with that is if we don't grow it in Georgia, where are you going to get it? It's still federally illegal to bring cannabis across state lines. So if you go somewhere and get it and fly it here, as soon as you touch down, they can get you off the plane. So they said, okay, yeah, duh, we didn't think this through. Now they allowed 6 companies to have licenses in order to grow it here. And then if you have a card individually, proving that you have a serious illness and medical cannabis helps, then you can go and use it. And I don't think private or public companies can fire you. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Thank
Now,
you.
I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice, but I'm saying I'm pretty sure that's the case that they can't fire you.
Second question. During this session, should residents be going to speak to their legislatures, or should they wait till it's off season?
Well, I don't know. That interesting. That's a good question. I mean, as a resident, there's not a lot you can do to impact the navigation of these legislative bills down at the Capitol. I mean, there are consultants like me. And listen, I'll be the first to say I don't pass any bills. It's the legislators, they have to do it. But as far as a groundswell, if it's 100 people or 150 people or 200, like this matters to us, then maybe yes. If it's a coalition, depending on what the situation is. Now, talking about it during the off session, when they're not in session, that does help legislators try to figure out this is what we got to work on for next session, or this is a bill that I think we could get passed next session. So yes, talk about it during the off season, of course, but during session, I mean, just let either your council member know or if you know the House member or senator that represents you, wherever you voted for House and Senate, you could call their office, and let them know this issue is important to me, and they'll do what they can. But now, and I'm always 100. I went to Thorough. Like, I'm from Greenboro. My parents still live over in Greenboro. I just miss being in the city of South Fulton. Like, I went to Thorough. I want to be real. There are not, of the 2,000 bills that were introduced last year, let's say 400 of them got passed. Of the 400 that got passed, maybe 3 of them were Democratic bills, maybe. Any Democrat that authors a bill, they just practice. It probably ain't gonna pass. Now, some bills that are local legislation, that's different. They don't care. They could. It's local. It only matters to that specific area. So if it's local legislation, maybe we can get some things through. But a general bill, a statewide bill that you're going to need the Republicans to vote on in favor of, and it's a Democratic bill, especially if the bill makes sense. Oh, no. We can't let Democrats look good. No. This is Georgia. Right. So yeah, you can impact legislation, but can you though,
And sometimes what they'll do is change who presents the bill.
Yeah.
Like, they won't let the Democrats pass the bill, but they will put their name on it, change it around a little bit, and then pass.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. In fact, I'll go as far to say this. I heard one legislator down at the Capitol today, who's been there a long time, tell another legislator who is fairly new that if you want to get something passed, and they're both Democratic legislators, if you want to get something passed, find a Republican that has the same problem in their district of what you're trying to cure, whatever it is you're trying to solve, like whatever it is. And they say, you know what, that's a big problem in my district as well. And then they go to the chairman and say, yeah, this will be, yeah, something like that. Yes, they change names all the time. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Long. You have been great. Hey, Corey, it's 7:02. Mr. Long needs to leave at 7:05. So do you have anything else you want to add before he goes? And you've been great. Thank you. And I hope you'll come back and join us.
Yes, absolutely. Anything for my friend Corey Reeves. Yes.
Okay, very good.
Absolutely. And I thank Mr. Long for being a good friend as well. And I want to thank him for taking time out of his busy day to address us and to come give us what we do need here as this civic engagement. As I will also say this, not only are these bills one of the priority things to have, but we're going to get a list of whenever they come up to here, whatever day they're on, and actually provide that. So if you want to have nothing to do or you have the time, go down to the Capitol, introduce yourself, and then see how a bill goes through and what process that it goes through. And we tend to follow this all the way through this 40 legislative day session.
Yep.
If I have to sign a die, there's some other things on there too. So that we will be following up. And Mr. Long, I want to thank you, sir. I appreciate you always, man. And enjoy your day. You look good right there.
Look out. Wait a minute. Just a little homeboy from Thorough. Yeah, just a little Southside kid. All right, I appreciate everyone. Thank you all again. I'm honored to be on with you all tonight. And Corey knows I say this, but I really mean it. If I can help you do anything, let me know. Corey has my email and my mobile to get in contact with me. Yeah, if I can be helpful, y'all call me.
Okay, thank you so much. And you have a great evening. Stay safe and stay warm.
I will. Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, James, speaking of that, I'm gonna need you. How much you get that water heater? I got to replace mine. I said, very interesting. Yeah.
Before we go into moving forward at our next topic, I just wanted to introduce Mr. Brandon, who joined us tonight. He is new to the circle, and he is an attorney who also I want him to introduce his business, but he supported Facts to Thrive, and I want to just give him an opportunity to introduce himself and what his company does.
Thank you, Tamiko. Good evening, everybody. I'm extremely glad to be a part of this conversation. Tamiko has been telling me about this for about a month now. And so I'm glad to be able to join you all. I work with a law firm, the Serious Century Law Group. We just opened our first Georgia location. We are located in Fairburn, right downtown. We are a full service personal injury law firm. So we handle car accidents, truck accidents, slip and falls, incidents on premises, things of that nature. And we just want to be a resource and an avenue to be able to connect with the community. We're not one of the big billboard firms. We're one of the firms that really want to engage in the community, and that's why we're happy to be able to highlight Tamiko's nonprofit Facts to Thrive. They're doing some extremely important and good work here in the South Fulton, and we're just happy to be here. And if you ever need me, you all can contact me directly at my cell phone is 404-904-4506. I'm gonna say it one more time. It's 404-904-4506.
And so you said something, right? Premise lawsuits, right?
Yes.
Okay. Educational moment, I guess, right here. And so, as the premise lawsuit is, if you go to any event or if somebody's having an event and you get hurt or you trip, slip, fall, whatever the case may be, and it's on that premise that you do have a lawsuit. Now, from a lawyer's perspective, and I'm gonna get to the reason why, is from if that happens in a regular day-to-day operation versus an event, who would be responsible or liable for that payment of the lawsuit or that injury claim?
Well, that's a fact pattern that I mean I would have to get more information from a general sense. His liability or lawsuit is essentially structured like this. You have a premises that is somehow does something that's negligent, right? They don't pick up something that they should in time. They've been warned about it either by somebody that's on the premises or by someone that's on the premises, or by the time that it was on the premises, they knew or should have known about this dangerous condition and they didn't do anything to remedy. Remedies can include cleaning it up, putting some sort of warning sign down, preventing somebody from falling on it, for example. Now, and I think in the facts that you just presented, it's a little complex because I need to understand, if there's an event, who's hosting this event, because it matters. Is this a city event? Is this a county event? There are different statute of limitations when you're dealing with cities and counties, or is the state hosting this event, or is it just another, is it just a business that generally operates is now they're having a grand opening event or they're having a Christmas event? I would need to know that information to kind of give you more information. But from a general sense, the owner of the premises is responsible for the upkeep of that premises, the maintenance of that premise, and the security of that premises.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted you to say. So I want, as I said, an educational moment here. And so when this fight over city events or things of that nature, and I'm just going to use, just because we are familiar with South Fulton, and if anybody else is familiar with any other location, please chime in. That's why we do the events over there on city property, as it's under the umbrella. Anything that you do off of the city property, you have to get this better responsibility, because they actually have what they call premises liability insurance, like it'll cover your event. So if anybody gets hurt on that event, because the owner is going to require that, because see, that's where it gets complicated. And that was there before I was here. You accepted the risk when you had the event anyway. So to eliminate that, you had to have this premise liability insurance. you can get a day for whatever it is. The coverage is specifically for that event. It might cost you $250, maybe $300. But at the end of the day, if anything happens, you know you covered. If you were the city and you do that, then take it as that relies out there on the city. If that lawsuit comes against the city on any property that's not on city property, that can cause a your claim, your insurance claim, depending on how many claims you have, your rate to go up, which can cause your premiums to be higher. As so, when people talk about city events and things of that nature, as I will always advocate for them to be on city property, and anything that help off of city property, we are in conjunction with, we're in conjunction with, as they will be the bearer of that process to ensure that they got the proper insurance for anything that's outside of the city property. So when you talk about the fights in these events, understand there is an associated cost with that that might be unseen, anything that's off of city grounds. So I just wanted to, from you being an attorney, and if you was to get hurt, you would call the serious injury law firm and call this young gentleman, and he'll be more than happy to take that probably pro bono, especially if he has a case, because they win and they usually settle out of court. Which y'all out of court litigation settlement rate versus actually going to court. And so usually in personal injuries, it's been my experience. You can qualify this up if you want to. That they usually settle out of court if it's a strong case.
Well, yeah, typically, most cases I would think nowadays will settle before you what's considered going into litigation before you file a lawsuit. Probably 80 to 90% of cases, if not more, settle before there's ever a trial. So there is a good chance that the case will resolve at some point before that. Now, this is this is what I do day to day. So unfortunately, I can't do pro bono. But what I can guarantee you is that what I can guarantee you is that we don't charge for consultations. We don't charge to pick up the phone and call us to talk about your case. The only time we ever recover, we work on a contingency. And so, if we don't get a recovery for you, you don't owe us anything. We pay all the case expenses. We do all that. If we're able to get a recovery for you, then that's when we get a percentage of that recovery. But for just the day-to-day incidents that happen, fender benders, anything like that, big truck accidents, slip and falls, give us a call. At least, allow us to let you know whether or not that's a case that we can take on.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to say this, because as y'all see the commercial battles, y'all hear them, y'all see them, as the big guys versus my 25% lawyer, right? So usually lawyers charge a fee of 33%. I don't know what y'all fee is. You can just say what it is. But understand something. Is the average case is usually how long, sir?
You said how long?
Yeah.
It just depends. It depends. A lot of factors. It depends on how hurt you are. It depends on, whether or not they're going to fight you on liability. Premises liability cases, I'm going to tell you, are on the tougher side because there are more elements that you have to prove versus, a car accident or something of that nature. But, generally speaking, if we get if you're involved in an accident, a car accident, for example, today, it's no broken bones or anything like that. You got what's called sprained strains or soft tissue injuries. You typically will go to the hospital, go to your primary care doctor, get some physical therapy or chiropractic treatment. That process probably takes about 4 months or so. We get into negotiation right after that. So generally speaking, probably about 7 months is kind of the, car accident process, just depending on if the case doesn't have to go to litigation and stuff like that.
Right. So basically, I'm gonna just break it down to you. That my 25% lawyer, I want y'all to hear one of these commercials that they have, right? Because it's very interesting. As they said, this guy was in a case and he got one settlement. But in his second case, he went to the about 25% lawyer. Was awarded $188,000 and he received $80,000 of that money. Just listen to the commercial. But he said, my 25% attorney. You just listen to it and listen to the numbers and then do the math. As that my 25% attorney get is only the fee, but it's not all the associated costs, what he was just talking about. And that's what goes into it. So just when you look at that breakdown from that perspective, they actually got to tell you that because it's public record once you win the money, right? So just anyway, but if you have an accident, call this guy. But thank you for joining us. As 80 to 90%, you can't really find civil attorneys no more. You can't have criminal offense attorneys are going to everybody's turning to these injury cases. That's why they moved fair. But I'm just saying, like legit, right? Because 80, 90%, just do the math. People are literally getting out of other forms of the legal field and specifically focusing on personal injury. And he just told you the reason why. As I was looking for a civil attorney, I still ain't got the reference to one, man. I said, man, look here, y'all. I need to diversify your portfolio, man. Somebody give me a civil, man. We got some cases down here, brother. But
Also, I'm sorry, Corey, Attorney Crum. So, and it also depends on how many persons are involved in, your personal injury too, correct? Like if it's a car accident or something like that. So depending on how long it may take. And then, because I work for an attorney as well,
Okay.
and mainly he does criminal and some personal injuries. So, and sometimes with the um, like the therapist and your treatment and all that you have to have, it may be where you have signed an agreement to pay for the treatment, but like once litigation is over and that bill comes out to be, or your award turns out to be lower than you expected, is there a way that you work out treatment negotiations with the facility that you had to go to, like a chiropractor or whatever?
Yeah,
Does that happen?
yeah, our firm, we try to maximize any of our clients' return or compensation for what they've been through. And a lot of times what we, find ourselves doing is negotiating with these medical providers to reduce any balances that might be left on. And what that does for us, it's a dollar for dollar uh difference. So if we got, $100 off of your medical costs, that goes directly to the client. That doesn't come to us at all. So the more we're able to, reduce that cost from the medical provider standpoint, the more we're able to put directly into our client's pocket. And so we do that for our clients because our number one goal is to make sure that you walk away with as much, money from the case as possible, that you're happy, that you're satisfied, and can put that behind you. That's our goal.
Right. Exactly. And we've had to do that as well, even to the point to where, the attorney even reduced his fee just to make sure that the client was satisfied in that case. Okay, we have a question from Tamika.
Alrighty, so I know you said that you are the new office here in Fairburn, Georgia, but I don't think people realize how big of an organization you are and where the headquarters is from. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're headquartered in Alabama. We have offices in Birmingham and we got an office in Montgomery. This is our first Georgia location here in Fairburn. And we chose to be in the South Fulton area. I connected with some of you all may know Councilman Whitmore down here in Fairburn. He and I met about 2 years ago. And when my firm was looking to expand into Georgia, he was the first person that I contacted. The city was extremely helpful in connecting us with, properties and trying to identify a place to bring us in. And that's very important. And I admire, Fairburn and the entire South Fulton area because I think that, small businesses like ours would be willing to come into this area and provide services for the citizens here with city officials that are like that are receptive and open. And so, I know that's a long-winded way to answer your question, Tamiko, but yeah, we are based in Alabama, and this is our first Georgia location. And we're going to continue to look to it to expand other places in South Fulton and throughout Atlanta and Metro Atlanta area and throughout Georgia. Ultimately, we are the largest Black-owned, fully Black-owned law firm in the state of Alabama.
That was a piece I wanted you to let them know that you ain't as small as people think. And we talk about supporting our own business, but we don't always know where our business is to go to. So I appreciate you coming on the spot and speaking with us.
Tamiko,
I was,
this is Chandra. Mr. Crum,
Yes.
you washed over something as well. I'm a piggyback on Tamiko. Tell them the history behind the building that you're in, sir.
and then tell us the address too, also.
Okay, so I'll start with the address, and I'll tell you the couple bits that I know about this location. The address is 4 Northwest Broad Street, and that's Fairburn, Georgia. Zip code is 30213. We're located directly, if y'all go to Oz Pizza, which so many folks do throughout the week, we're literally right across the street from Oz Pizza. Now, from what I've gained, and I'm not sure if y'all ever gone to Casablanca, which is the restaurant on the other side of the street from us, directly across the street from us. I spoke with Miss Ursula over there, who owns that restaurant, and she was telling me about the Jernigan family, and that's who built this building. I think it used to be maybe a tool supply shop. But I think, at one point, folks like us could not be in this building or work in this building or really do anything in this building. And so it's very important, not only is a law firm that's headed by African Americans in this building now, but the owner is actually African American. And so it's just times continue to evolve, and we just want to make sure that we have a strong presence in the community. I'm going to be a part of events sets like this, events in the community. Get used to seeing my face. We're not those big billboard guys. We do have billboards, but we're more interested in making sure that we connect with our constituents, with our clients. We want to be, at the baseball games, at the community rallies, at the, toy drives, different things like that. That's what we're looking to be a part of. And I'm so glad that I met Tamiko, because she's been a huge asset for me connecting with, entities in the South Fulton area, including this one.
Right. Okay, and we had a question in the chat. It was, will the insurance company pay in access of what is on the declaration page of the policy? Ms. Collins?
Generally, no. Generally, they are only responsible for what's on the policy. Now, there is a claim that can potentially be brought under certain circumstances, which is called bad faith. If the insurance company acts in bad faith, and there's a process and a procedure that you got to go through in order to get beyond the policy. But generally speaking, no, the policy limit is the most that you would get. Now, you want to make sure that your attorney is identifying all the available coverage of, that's there though. Because not only is the person that caused the accident, not only is their insurance company may be on the hook, but there's also potential that you might have uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, or a resident relative that lives with you may have uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage that can also be in addition to what the person that caused the accident may have.
Right. Thank you so much for bringing that up about the uninsured motor coverage. And I think this is what a lot of time we get messed up on, because we don't even know about having this insurance. So can you explain that a little bit to us?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, the importance of that coverage. So uninsured motorist coverage is, and it's only a few more dollars on top of what you already pay, and you can get, basically the same amount that you would have in liability. Um, so what happens is if a driver hits you or causes an accident that does not have insurance, then if you don't have uninsured motorist coverage, you may not recover anything. Because if they don't have insurance and you don't have uninsured motorists, then they won't have anything. Now, underinsured motorists, and it usually goes together, it's usually uninsured, underinsured motorists, it usually goes together. What that is if, say for instance, you're in very dire straits, you broke some bones, you're in a very bad position after an accident. What'll happen is if the minimum requirement in Georgia for everybody to have on the roadway is at least $25,000, right? And some people have only $25,000. That's what most drivers on the roadway have. And so if you have broken bones and things like that, and your hospital bills are some exorbitant amount, um, you might be limited to only that $25,000 unless you have underinsured motorist coverage on your own policy. Okay. So in Georgia, I want you to be careful with the language. In Alabama, we don't necessarily deal with this, but in Georgia, you do. In Georgia, you have add-on and reduced by coverage. So pay attention to that language, because reduced by means that if the person has, for example, if they have a $25,000 liability policy and you have a $50,000 UM policy, they reduce that. They reduce, if they pay you that 25,000, they reduce what they owe you by 25,000. And so you only have $25,000 left in UM, even though you originally had 50,000 on the policy, right? And so add on means if you have 50,000, that person has 25,000. Now you have up to 75,000, right? And so there's a difference. So when you're looking at your declarations page, pay attention to that language, reduce by or add on, and talk to your insurance representatives about that, what that means and what coverage you have. And in Georgia, everybody's gonna have uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. You would literally have to sign what's called a rejection page to not have it. And so, just pay attention if they ask you to sign a rejection page for the uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, and that reduced by an add-on language.
That sounds like a homework assignment. Everybody need to go check their policy.
Right. And so that's on the declaration page, you saw? That's
Say
on the
that again. I'm
declaration
sorry.
page. That on the declaration page of our insurance policy, the
The
information that you.
Yes, all of that outlines your policy. Yes, ma'am. It'll tell you if you have liability, how much you have in liability coverage, how much you have in property damage coverage, if you have medical payments coverage, and I can explain what that is, underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage, and then whether or not it's add-on or reduced by. That language might be on the deck page or it might be somewhere in the contract. So just pay attention to that. And then the medical payments, just so you all know, medical payments is a portion of your insurance company. I'm sorry, of your insurance coverage that could be applied to your medical costs. So if you have to go to the hospital after an accident and you have med pay coverage, that medical payments coverage could cover all or a portion of your medical expenses.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's some good information. So technically, when you say add on or reduce by, now does the insurance company decide what is add on and what is reduced by, or who decides that?
Well, when you're getting insurance coverage, and they tell you of all the basic information about what's going to be covered, and if you got rental car and all that stuff, when they bring up that uninsured, underinsured motorist part, ask them, hey, are y'all doing this as an add-on or are y'all doing this by reduced by? And so now everybody knows what that language means, so they can't trick you.
Right.
And so you want to ask your insurance provider, hey, is this an add-on? Is my uninsured, underinsured uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, is that add-on or is that reduced by? You want to know that.
And look at this. Some good stuff tonight, y'all. Okay, very good. And how long have you all been here now in Georgia?
We've opened up officially in October. We've been taking Georgia cases for a while. We just didn't have a physical brick and mortar location until last year.
Okay, very good. Well, we will definitely be passing you all name around. Know
Okay,
about the
and
church.
okay, and I look forward, like I said, to participate with making sure that this continue. I really appreciate um that the lobbyist gave today, because I think it's vital information, and I look forward to continuing to be a part of these when I can.
Absolutely. And you can also go stop by the Capitol. I mean, you may not know a whole lot of what's going on, but anyone who wants to go to the Capitol during these 40 days, they can. Just need to make sure that they're gonna be there. Like you said, they may be off that day. It may be Monday, Tuesday, and skip Wednesday and then Thursday. So, just have to make sure. And there are special days that they have like a City of South Fulton Day, they have Seniors Day, they have all kind of different days. So anywho, uh, well, y'all, it is 7:31. We have
Absolutely.
got through another night, and it has been fabulous. Wonderful information. Thank you again, Mr. Crum, for coming on. And we might want to come down and just see the office down there. Do y'all allow people to come and stop by?
You said, do we allow people to come and stop by?
Yes.
Yeah, we're open. I'm sorry, we're open
Yeah.
Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. The office is well, I'll give y'all the address already, and we're fully staffed, and we have anybody that may speak Spanish. We have employee on staff that is bilingual, and so we can help with that. We want to make sure that we not only look like our clients that we represent, but we also can provide services across the spectrum for minorities. That's very important to us, both in Alabama and here in Georgia.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you again. And Corey, do you have any final thoughts for tonight?
Well, absolutely, absolutely. As I want to thank Mr. Crum for coming on, and then also thank Mr. Long for coming on, as those two important things from the lobbyist perspective. I heard you learn. Hope that you have learned something from that engagement civically out there, as a duty that you can do as a citizen, to understand not just what he says, but how to be a part of that process, and can be an advocate for it as well. But also, too, I do not want to negate what Mr. Crum said in opening in his statement. As when we talk about civic engagement, understand something. If you have a business and you have a municipality, that's civic too, because that's going to expand into your economic factor. But one key thing that he did mention, beginning to starting off, as who he contacted. He met years ago, Mr. Whitmore, and who he contacted when they was looking to expand, and how the municipality of the place in Georgia that wanted them to call home went through the process with him over and above, and to find him the location, find him the resources that he needed to be in a location within that city that's going to help him and his firm win, right? And I think they have done a great job. As if other cities follow suit into that manner, understand something. They have a product. As for the people who want to specifically focus on, minority communities, as if you call yourself into that community, you want to do everything you can. And particularly people want to be from lawyers, from manufacturing, to whatever they want to bring. You want to be a city engaged in that process with them to get the maximum value for them, because they have a bottom line, but to you, the city, the municipality, as a value add for the city. And so pay very close attention to that. In anything that we do, as we have to understand that is a part of the process. And when we do know that the engagement that goes on, that is a very intricate part of that, to who one is we are to a city, and two is that people who usually come back home. Because of Mr. Crum, I believe you're from here, correct? I don't know if you're
Yes,
still on.
sir. Yeah, I'm from Riverdale, and I went to North Clayton High School.
Absolutely. And so what year you come out?
I didn't graduate from North Clayton. I moved back to Michigan, but I was there 2009 and 2010.
Right. But hey, the kid is it's fine. I mean, you just went back to go get some more education from home to come bring your talents back here to South Florida, the
Yes,
area.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
so but these little known things and factors that we do share is when you want to have a business, you want to come back, is you want the people to be involved in that and finding that aspect out for you. And so also too is to go back to what is on the agenda for squatters. Ladies and gentlemen, I was at the courthouse today and understand that there was action taken against a place called Camelot as to get the squatters. As from the very onset, we addressed this on this call some time ago about that, as we knew about the Soju came home and how fast you can get somebody out of your property without going through the total eviction process. And that is a process that is being implemented right now in South Florida at Camelot, as we have a real situation going on, and as they takeover is beginning in the process. Now, as we've done all we can and all we can do, but understand this, and this is a real life situation for you to watch out and be on the watch for, is because that is the most valuable piece of property in the city of South Fulton. And it's for a reason, but understand this is really what's going on right now. And had I not been, because they tell you what's going on there, was I had a little situation here in the morning, but I skipped that and things ruled in my favor. But I went down there this afternoon, and lo and behold, who was in court? And so we need to pay attention and understand that results have consequences that can sometimes negatively affect a community and a city. And so as we have examples of those in real life situations, just go back and look at 044, Cabbagetown, Reynoldstown, just go back and look at those areas and look at what their progress was has came to, and understand something. I know that very vividly, 100%. As all I'm saying is to have the people a part of that area to be a part of that process will be a better situation in the long run to have them eliminated from the process. So pay attention to what's going on, because the actions have been started and are underway. And so, but that's something to watch out for too, as that's something also to be paying attention to the Capitol, because as this is going through the bill for the state legislated for the city's actions is already underway, taking place. As I bear witness, it was in court today at Superior Court, Justice Hour 2. So, but however, when we say stay engaged civically as to all aspects, because that's eventually going to affect your bottom line and the taxes that will come along with it. So just know that, and I thank each and every one of you for being a part of this. Spread the word. And as Tamiko said in the beginning, tell two people, invite two people on the call, as the things that we're talking about in civically engaging are going to be the most beneficial to how things are actually occurring, and how that you really truly have the power structure just by your voice and your presence. And so Ms. Glenda Collins knows all about that firsthand. So and I thank her for leading efforts and for what they're doing, and with the Fairwood Community Action Association and the expansion of that from what they want to see it and get happen to get done. Because at the end of the day, it is all about we, the people. Never forget that. It started we, the people. Everything else is secondary, because it's we, the people. Don't ever forget that. And no, don't ever underestimate the power of those three words. I tell you the truth, and I'm just saying that this is going to be getting more intense, because we are taking deeper dives into actually getting really engaged. As I was on my way to Columbus last week, I did a job over the weekend, and they actually have a civil engagement uh, 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 area or building, and we're going to be taking a field trip down there, because I plan on arranging that, because I want to learn more about it myself, as I just happened to pay attention to that sign going down there. It's been there, but we'll see. But thank you all. And that's my 5.
All right, well, thank you again, Mr. Crum, and thank you, Corey. Thank you, Tamika, for allowing me to be the host moderator for the night. And we also want to thank Mr. Long. So, y'all, until next week,
Jane, you
we
did
will see you all.
Jane, you did awesome, and you did it while you were sick. So thank you
Oh,
so
thank
Right.
you.
Great
All
job.
right.
And
Good
I
night.
appreciate when we started this, we said we were going to engage the community to participate and help out. And so Jane is the first one to step up and help out. But we're going to have more people come in to help schedule speakers and be hosts. And so I just want to thank Jane for starting it off.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for trusting me.
And everybody, feel free to come on out there and get engaged out there and host. Be a guest moderator. Next week we hoping to have Mr. Henry, Rashid Henry, from his organization, but he'll be talking about engagement process of the MBE programs and MWEB programs and what that means, and as he did it for other cities, but what that program would mean for engagement, but in a way of business. And so Mr. Rashid Henry. So that's next Monday. So anybody I want to guest moderate, feel free to step up. Even you, Mr. Crum. It's like, because people would think you're related to Benjamin Crum, right? But the last name is just spelled different, right?
That's right. That's right. He's Crum. No, he's
Yeah,
Crum.
I went to law school at Florida A&M, so I used to tell everybody he was my uncle.
Hey, do what you got to do. Fake it till you
Oh,
make it.
Yeah.
and everyone, city council meets tomorrow night. Some of y'all was asking about city council meetings, so they meet tomorrow night. I think it starts at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So, and it's at the Southwest Art Center. So that is tomorrow. Don't forget, our presidential election is coming up in March. So it's coming quicker than we think. Presidential in March. Okay.
Wait. The primary.
Primary. That's right.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so
Miss Collins.
Miss
That's
Collins
right.
has
Miss Collins, you all final thought for the night. Miss Collins, you got your hand up? Going once, going twice. Miss Collins?
I believe it begins at 4. I saw it on the internet, but I
Right.
know that the agenda had 5 o'clock.
Yeah, the agenda had 5, so that's the only reason why I said 5.
I
But that's,
know,
yeah,
and I saw it. Somebody sent me a email, and it's 4 o'clock
okay,
at the art center.
okay.
Okay,
Normally it is 4. Well, since I saw 5,
I
okay,
agree. Yes, I saw that, and it was
okay. Thank you, Miss Collins. That's my little
somebody need to
side.
point out to the city that those two things don't match those. Because that's important.
What's
Well, it
that? What's that?
depends. It depends on what we talk about. Because remember, we have pointed out how agenda times seem to magically move when they magically want to get something through or not. So
One of y'all on here might want to do that. I won't be there. So I'll be. So
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
it'll depend on how I'm feeling. Anywho.
okay. Okay, and you have to make that tea.
Yeah,
Cinnamon.
and yes,
Well,
I got some more tea tonight. Matter of fact, I got some homemade soup waiting on me downstairs. So,
Miss
okay,
Law-
we gotta
But,
let you go, Jane.
but Miss
do it.
Collins, ask you one question though.
yes, sir.
It's the piggyback from the last council meeting. 5510 Fairwood.
Oh
What happened
no, yeah,
with that? And let's understand this. Was that vote on or was that moved to this?
no, it's tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
you to
Exactly.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's tomorrow. I got to try to make it.
Don't let's not forget about that because it is a very interesting topic, and I'm very interested to see the outcome.
I got to try to make it.
But they had another property that they wanted rezoned for townhomes, and it was removed. They're not gonna vote to approve it. That's what it is. But I cannot understand why they go approve one and not the other.
All I'm saying is the reason why they move it off is, let me just say this. Just pay attention very closely to the items that's on the agenda, what those items are about, and there's a more in-depth description than what y'all see on the piece of paper. Sister Collins was all about that. As you have to understand something, it's apples to apples. And depending on a location, the same circumstances exist in the surrounding communities, but in one location, it's okay as compared to another location. And this is legit an apples to apples comparison. Not compared to apples and oranges, no, it is a legit direct correlation of the same circumstances. But one votes, and if they're on the same agenda, magic trick, which is remove the one we ain't gonna vote on, or vote yes or vote no. Two separate agenda items, but it's the two same different things. Pay very strict attention to it.
Right.
Yeah, because see, I will give you the breakdown of what reality is, and I'm just gonna let you know the truth. As that's a fact, people. And so, but hey, I'm just here to get y'all more engaged in that process. As y'all understand something, the disparities in communities come from actions like these in the future. So so to change the future outcomes of situations, the action is now. So I would that's my 5 cents.
All right. Well, thank you, Corey. Thank you, everyone. Good night. See y'all next week, or see you tomorrow night.
You did a great job, Jane.
Thank you.
And if it's Monday, make this call.
Good night, everybody. John Boy, Elizabeth, and everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.